Happy May 18th, everybody. All right, run down the events real fast. The International Museum Day, May 18th. Visit your relatives day, May 18th. India became the 6th country to become nuclear power. Now there's 9 states who possess nuclear weapons, 1974. Other notable events on May 18th. The French government of Des Pouty resigns. TWA begins commercial service. President dictator Jose Porta. Okay, I don't care about any of that stuff. So visit your relatives day, International Museum Day, United Nations moves its headquarters to New York City Day, India becomes the 6th country to become a nuclear power. Go India, all right? Or not, no. Gandhi, the daughter of Gandhi or granddaughter wouldn't take the power in 2004. So both on the same day, right? India became a nuclear power and she refused the prime ministership. Which is very humble, right? A private citizen to say, I don't want the power. I don't want the power. But if people are calling for you, shouldn't you, say something? Shouldn't you be for the people? Or I guess people have a right to be private citizens, like Cincinnatus. Cincinnatus was a great Roman official. He was a great military leader. He was a great, military commander. And then he retired into private life, but then they started to be invaded again, and then they rose him up to be emperor, and then after they won the war, he stepped down immediately. Probably one of the best fucking leaders ever, right? He accomplished his mission, he protected the nation, and then he stepped down. He did what he was, going out to do, and he did his job, and he passed, and he succeeded, and then he stepped down peacefully. Didn't want to be a dictator for life. Didn't want to, be a Castro or be a dictator for life. Like, what the fuck? For life? For the end? To the end? Nobody else gets power? That's not fair, right? That's not fair either. So, happy Montreal Day. Happy Jacques Marquette Day. Happy Lawnmower Day. Happy Battle of Los Pierres Day. Happy Flag and University Day of Haiti. Happy Bertrand Russell Day, who was born on this day. Happy the bombing of the 103rd Police Precinct in New York City Day by the Weather Underground in response for the killing of the 10-year-old black youth Clifford Glover by the police. Thomas Shea shot Clifford Glover in the back. 1973. Shit ain't changed. Shit has not changed. 42 fucking years later, shit's the same. It's pathetic. America, we could do better. And look, in 2000, a bill finally passed that removed the Confederate flag from South Carolina. Finally. And fuck your Confederate flag, you racist fucks. Shit. You don't care about the fucking freedom and independence. You hate black people. That's what the fuck you mean by the Confederate flag. Jesus, man. In Kentucky, you was on the winning side. You was for the Union. 100,000 people fought for the Union. Only 50,000 fought for the South. In fact, only like 40,000, I think. The same amount of black people that had fought for the Union. Kentucky black people was a sizable 25,000. So, black folks, a lot of white folks in unity fighting against slavery. We're the winners. We're the victors. Why the fuck would we not embrace that? America is good. The United States is good. The Union is strong. And we're in the middle of the Union, so we're like, the glue that bounds it all together. And if we're still fucking champion on the terrorist of, 2 fucking centuries ago, what the fuck? What the fuck? We won. It'd be like having a bunch of Hitler monuments everywhere. Man, Hitler's gonna rise again, man. He's gonna rise again, I'm telling you. Fuck your Hitlers. Fuck your Jefferson Davises. Fuck your oppression. Fuck your corruption. Fuck corporations, fuck you bankers, fuck the 1%. Fuck the crime, fuck the bullshit. Fuck poverty. Fuck cancer. Fuck the police. Just, let's be hippies, have cannabis gardens and just treat each other nice. Why do we all gotta be a bunch of fucking assholes? It's bullshit. It is bullshit. It's May 18th. You understand what that means? It means there's plenty of holidays to celebrate. May 18th holidays. In 1642, the city of Montreal was founded by the French. So happy Montreal Day, right? The French founded Montreal May 18th, 1642. You didn't know that. Jacques Marquette, a Jesuit missionary, dies May 18th, 1675. Now, if you're a buff on Kentucky history, you know that Jacques Marquette was one of the first people to see Kentucky. He went down the Mississippi River, almost went to New Orleans. And you know, at the very end on Fulton County, you have the Mississippi River would have hit the very, you know, tip of Kentucky. So he would have seen the Ohio River. He would have seen, you know, he would have floated right past it. One of the first people to discover Kentucky, 1675 is when he dies. Now, he died at near Ludington in Michigan at age 37. But the French, in the form of a small party of Father Jacques Marquette, who was a Jesuit, which is the Society of Jesus, and it's a radical outfit that it produced Guy Fawkes, who believed that violence to overthrow a Protestant government is acceptable. And Guy Fawkes is the mask of Occupy and Anonymous. And so, you know, there's been a lot of cultural sort of, you know, he's a heroic figure, Guy Fawkes is, because of the V for Vendetta movie. And anyways, that was a Jesuit, and that's who Jacques Marquette is. And Louis Joliet, they explored the Mississippi River in 1673 together. So 2 years before he died, he saw Kentucky. And somewhat wary because of Hernando de Soto's encounter with the Chickasaw was well known in Europe, Marquette and Joliet merely noted their location at the bluffs near Memphis, Tennessee. So they just said, oh, there's the location where Hernando de Soto got into the fight with the Chickasaw. And the Chickasaw covered Kentucky's western region. The so-called Jackson Purchases, the Chickasaw lands. We only have 4 regions, and we went ahead and anglicized, actually, some of the county names, too. 2/3 of the county names have been anglicized. For slave owners and for Indian genociders, Jackson Purchase is what they call that area now, named after Andrew Jackson. And Isaac Shelby was there, too. Known Indian killers. And so the Chickasaw, Hernando de Soto, was actually I think may have been the first white man into Kentucky. Hernando de Soto was buried inside the Mississippi River, supposed to be this god king or whatever. They didn't want them to know that his powers, he wasn't immortal. Hernando de Soto, I want to say, I don't know, it's Pizarro. I thought he rode with Pizarro. So de Soto was a Spanish conquistador, one of the most barbaric, vicious. Just went across the southern part of the United States, eventually hits Kentucky, fights some Chickasaw Indians, goes to cross, and then they all scatter away or something. I don't know exactly the specific path. But Hernando de Soto was the first white man into Kentucky, and he ran into the Chickasaws, well known, and Jacques Marquette, when he passed by Mississippi, or by Memphis, Tennessee, while he was on the Mississippi River, which is close to Kentucky, he said, okay, there's where they were. So they paddled all the way down to the mouth of the Arkansas River. They had turned back, fearful of the Spanish in the region, unaware that they were only 10 days away from the Gulf of Mexico. And then they eventually lost most of their notes. So as a French person came down the Mississippi, one of the first ones, too. There's not, you know, how many white people have actually made it to Kentucky? We're the first ones, and there's only like a handful. And so, you know, we can learn how Kentucky was by those first explorers. And, you know, Jacques Marquette, he's a Jesuit, so he's just, you know, the black robe. If you ever seen the black robe, he's just walking around, you know, preaching the Catholics' version of Christianity and trying to get converts, but a gentle, humble man, not trying to, just observing, taking notes. It sucks that they lost all those notes, too. The boat capsized and then all the papers went everywhere. So anyways, that's Jacques Marquette. Happy Jacques Marquette Day, right? This is the day he died. And I don't know. I think it's notable because it's Kentucky history. So May 18th, 1830, Happy Lawnmower Day. Why is it Happy Lawnmower Day? Because Edwin Budding of England signs an agreement for manufacture of his invention, the lawnmower. And Saturdays are destroyed forever because of Edward Budding of England. 1830. 1830 is when the lawnmowers first began. 1811, the Battle of Las Piedras. The Battle of Las Piedras, the first great military triumph of the Revolution of the Rio de la Plata in Uruguay, led by Jose Artigas. Marijuana is legal in Uruguay. And so the Battle of Las Piedras enabled Uruguay to become the country that it is and to bravely make a stand before the rest of the world in opposition to the American Empire. Flag and University Day is in Haiti, so happy Flag and University Day for all the Haitians out there. 5/18 is when it is. I think they, Dantes Belograde, Minister of Public Instruction, advocated for the day because he believed that the sanctity of the educational system was being threatened by the U.S. occupation of Haiti that had begun in 1915. And so there's an occupation of Haiti today. There's still United Nations, there's still embassy, there's still troops, MINUSTAH. And MINUSTAH is, responsible for cholera. So MINUSTAH, cholera, let's see, an inscription on the Haitians' flag, coat of arms reads, La Union fait la force, unity makes strong. National unity is a primary theme of Flag and University Day, which is an independence celebration as well as an occasion to recognize the country's educational system for over a century. The celebration was devoted solely to the national emblem. Flag Day became an annual celebration shortly after Catherine Flown sewed the first red and blue flag in 1803. A year before Haiti won its independence from France, under instructions from Jean-Jacques Dessalines. Haiti's first ruler, Flown, used the template of the French flag's tricolor scheme but removed the white stripe. So France is red, blue, and white, but for the Haitian flag, they took out the white, which was symbolic of how they actually began, because they wiped out all the white oppressor invaders. First the Spanish, then the French, so the flag, they wiped out the white from the flag and created their own. The remaining in blue and red stripes symbolize the black and mulatto citizens who made up Haiti's majority population. So I don't know who would be blue and who would be black. Maybe black would be blue and brown would be red. I don't know. The government incorporated University Day as part of the celebration in 1919 because of Dantes Belograde, who pushed for it because he thought the educational system was being compromised by the first U.S. occupation, Woodrow Wilson, in 1915. Wilson also would go to invade Mexico, jump into World War I, put Eugene Debs in prison for 10 years for speaking out against the war, and people blamed the rise of Hitler because of World War I. They kept Germany alive and then just tried to tax it to death and bleed it, and so it was still a nation state, and then they got all pissed off because the whole world was blaming them for the first World War and World War I, and it wasn't just their fault. The Prussians were pushing for the Austrian-Hungary Empire to give Serbia the ultimatum, but ultimately it was Austria-Hungary that set it all off, right? It was their empire, and then Serbia had killed that guy, and then it was just all this alliance system. It was just a big mess, kind of, right? But a bunch of imperialistic, kings and queens, and, just a bunch of bullshit. And so, fuck the bullshit. We should have listened to Eugene Debs. Woodrow Wilson was racist, says that the birth of a nation was like writing history with lightning. Woodrow Wilson was a fucking prick. And he desegregated his cabinet. He said, he was against Germans and Irish immigrants. The World War I basically destroyed the German identity in America. After World War I, there were no more German Americans. There were only de-Germanized Americans with a bunch of fucking English Protestants. European, right? English. You're speaking English. Why aren't you speaking American or speak Kentuckian? Or Algonquin. That's the native language. Speak Algonquin. Talk about language. Yeah, this America, we speak English. You speak the fucking language of England. Why? Speak your own language. My God, So, Germany. I'm part German, so I feel very violated about the World War I. I feel like they stripped me of my German ancestry and identity, and Germany's, always been a strong economic country. It's been, basically, I feel like Germany is like Hitler Jr. and sees what America's doing and tries to do it as best as they can. They're using our military now. And so, you know, they don't have to pay for military. Hitler would never come up, and so they just been the powerhouse economic engine holding all of Europe afloat. And, you know, congratulations to Germany, right? They do better, socialism and capitalism better than we do. Lots of good things I could say about Germany. Now, fuck Hitler, fuck the Nazis, you know, fuck, excuse me, fuck Prussian militarism. But the scientists, the universities, the advancement, there's a lot of great things that Germany has produced, things that, you know, we all actually use today. The entire American education system is Prussian. So the entire educational system, the entire imposing, you know, in a way, maybe I should have stood up against Common Core, because it's imposing, but it's imposing math and English, you know. So why are you going to hate? You're going to be against math and English? Why are you against math and English? So I don't like the imposition, but math and English, that seems like that's one of the reading, writing, arithmetic, right? So why would you get rid of those three? Those three almost seem to be, you can't argue those three. The social studies and science curriculum maybe, but English and, you know, why only one language? Haitians know at least 2 or 3 languages. It's one of the best ways for poor people to sort of get up out of, you know, develop a talent that'd be useful for others. So, May 18th, 1872, Bertrand Russell Day. Russell, an atheist who said, "Think great thoughts, for you will never go higher than what you think," is born in 1872. Bertrand Russell. Bertrand Arthur William Russell. And he dies February 2nd, 1970. He was a British philosopher, logician, mathematician, historian, social critic, and political activist. At various points in his life, he considered himself a liberal, socialist, and a pacifist, but he also admitted that he had never been any of these in any profound sense. He was born in Monmouthshire into one of the most prominent aristocratic families in Britain. So that's kind of cool that Bertrand Russell, sort of like FDR, right? Class trader. Hanging out with the muck and telling us what we need in order to survive in this country. May 18th, 1973, the bombing of the 103rd Police Precinct in New York. This is the Weather Underground. In protest of the Vietnam War, it stated that the bombing of the 103rd Police Precinct in New York was in response to the killing of a 10-year-old black youth, Clifford Glover, by police. Thomas Shea shot Clifford Glover in the back. Thomas Shea was put on trial for murder. The jury of 11 whites and 1 black acquitted Shea. He was the first New York City police officer ever to be tried for murder while on duty. But he's acquitted. Right, so the Weather Underground did a lot of cool shit, man. They saved Timothy Leary. All the protestants is, you know, everything that they did is a historical account of Vietnam. They were vindicated because we got out of Vietnam. We, you know, eventually ended that war, but here we are in an empire engaged in numerous wars. In the 60s and 70s, we were able to throw out 2 presidents because of an unpopular war. We haven't been able to do that with 1 president here. So, Nixon, I mean, we're all Nixonian now, right? Fuck, you know, the Nixonian politics has won the day. May 18th, 2000, a bill was finally passed that removed the Confederate flag from the South Carolina State House. Mississippi needs to be next. Mississippi still in their fucking state flag has the Confederate flag on there. And, yeah, fuck your stupid bullshit. It's racist. You're being fucking racist. And you know you are. You know you are. So knock it off with the Confederate fucking flag. Knock it off with the racism. Shit, Kentucky, there's like hardly no black people here. Or Native Americans here. What are you afraid of? What are you hating? You're not hating. You're hating one guy down the fucking street. They're the ones that caused all the problems. Get the fuck out of here. And, what cowards, right? What cowards? The race riots and strikes and all that shit. You know, they're defenseless. You're attacking defenseless people just because they're the minority. Just because you're jealous of their body. And just because, why? Just because? Just for the fuck of it? It's bullshit. Racism is bullshit. That's why I think Rhode Island enacting the first law declaring slavery illegal in 1652 should be a holiday. In 1652, Rhode Island passed the first abolition law in the 13 colonies banning African slavery. The law was not enforced by the end of the 17th century. By 1774, the slave population of Rhode Island was 6.3%, nearly twice as high as any other New England colony in the late 18th century, several Rhode Island merchant families, most notably the Browns, for whom Brown University is named, began actively engaging in the triangle slave trade. Right? Brown University. So they started out doing something really well, but they didn't actually enforce it till later on. But they passed the law, right? So they knew that it was wrong. And they were the first ones to point it out. 1652, right? This is what, 20 years before Jacques Marquette came down the Mississippi, checking out Kentucky. And Rhode Island merchants controlled between 60 and 90% of the American trade in African slaves. So that's a horrible legacy, right? It's kind of, that sort of taints their first law. But just goes to show you, even the ones that were doing something right also had this countercurrent of fucking counter-revolutionary, slave-raping, just sadistic oppressor fucking, pieces of shit. So, the another big thing, talking about oppression, the Civil War. May 18th, 1860, the Republican Party nominates Abraham Lincoln for president. Abraham Lincoln, the Republican Party, nominated him for president, and then his nomination eventually leads to the Civil War. He was going to get rid of slavery, and it scared the shit out of the South. They seceded, and then that's when Lincoln went after him. So that's a great day. That's a Civil War. It's another revolution. It was successful. We're still a country. United States of America prevailed. The Union prevailed. And we are a strong 50-nation state because of it. So, congratulations to Abraham Lincoln and the Republican Party. That was the rise of the Republican Party. You want to talk about third parties? Third parties not having a chance? The Republican Party was a third party until Abraham Lincoln took it and made it something completely else. So, a charismatic candidate can, bring a third party from out of the oblivion into the national consciousness. The Whig Party was going down, right? Sort of like the Republicans are sort of going down right now. May 19th, 1994, Israeli troops withdrew from the Gaza Strip after 3 decades of occupation, and the Palestinians took over. So, congratulations. This is Gaza Strip Day. Happy Gaza Strip Day. 94, this is under Bill Clinton, 21 years ago. The Israeli troops withdrew from the Gaza Strip after 3 decades of occupation. 3 decades. So since 64, they're in the Gaza Strip. 1978, May 18th, Italy legalizes abortion. The Italians, I don't even know when Roe versus Wade, I think was 73. So Italy gets on board with the abortion train. 2006, the post-Lok, Tantra, and Dolan government passes a landmark bill curtailing the power of the monarchy and making Nepal a secular country. So it's no more monarchy, secular country based on reason and logic, not a religious, inspired, Sharia law type of crusading nation. 1998, United States versus Microsoft, the United States Department of Justice. Again, Bill Clinton. And 20 U.S. states file an antitrust case against Microsoft. And so, they try to bust Microsoft up. They didn't break it all the way up, but I think they busted somewhat up. I think they're players. They used to have an MP3 player that they would always put on. I don't know, something. There's something that they changed. Come on. 1803. Britain declares war on France after Napoleon Bonaparte continues interfering in Italy and Switzerland. I don't like war, don't like violence, but Napoleon is like a Hitler. Is this fucking, sort of big monster going to take over the whole fucking world? And Britain declaring war on France, how Napoleon was defeated. He defeated like 7 allied coalitions. All of Europe tried to gang up and try to go after him. Napoleon just kept conquering and beating them. And they didn't know what else to do about it. So eventually all the small states gathered together and crushed the one empiring state, just like in World War I. And so I like that. I like that Britain declared war on France after Napoleon Bonaparte continued interfering in Italy and Switzerland. Let Italy and Switzerland be their own nations. Why you gotta go invading sovereign nations? It's not your country, Napoleon. Step the fuck back. Napoleon was such an asshole too, man. He wanted to just fuck over Haiti and re-enslave them just for the fuck of it. So he intentionally came back to re-enslave. That was his fucking intention. right? No, and then throws Toussaint Louverture into a fucking prison where he just dies a peddler's death. Whereas when they captured Napoleon, they put him on an island, he escaped, came back, then they put him on another island. So they never done him the way he done Toussaint Louverture, who was a true blue revolutionary. Not a imperialist who was using the revolution's name, prostituting the revolution's name in order to expand, its fucking country. But, a true blue slave who overthrew his masters and liberated an entire nation of people. 1980, Mount St. Helens blows its top in Washington State and 60 people die. It erupts, right, after being dormant for 123 years. Not sure if that's a holiday, but it's, watch out for the fucking volcanoes, You never know when they're just going to blow up. 1848, the opening of the first German National Assembly, the National Versammlung, in Frankfurt, Germany. This is an attempt by liberal government officials to form a people's parliament in Germany. Ultimately, it failed because the King of Prussia refused to lead it after the crown was offered to him. So what an asshole, right? I think it's Wilhelm, Frederick Wilhelm IV. And they said, if he would have accepted the crown, that was also accepted in the Frankfurt Parliament, but he didn't want the people, he didn't want a crown from the gutter. Ugh, why should I accept a crown from the gutter? That's what he thought of the people. And so if he would have accepted the crown, Germany would have been created all around Frederick Wilhelm, and they would have been known forever, that the revolutionaries and Frederick Wilhelm were united together. But he refused, and so Prussia had been united by Otto von Bismarck 20 or 30 years later. 1851, the Amsterdam New Wediep telegraph connection is linked. So we have a communication between Amsterdam and New Wediep in 1851. That's exciting, right? 1852, Massachusetts rules all school-age children must attend school. The first school attendance law is passed in Massachusetts, so you must go to school. That was started out by Massachusetts. And I almost want to even say Horns Mann and, the father in Massachusetts, always the ones that start this. And so they're the ones that started compulsory education, and where'd they get it from? They got it from the Prussians. That's where Horns Mann got it from. And what does America operate on today? The same Massachusetts Horns Mann system. In 1619, Hugo the Great was sentenced to life in prison. I like his escape story. Hugo de Groot. I don't know why they said the Great, but Hugo Grotius. He escapes from prison. He was in prison for his ideas. He's like an international law scholar. 1619, long time ago, right? And then 1621, he was allowed to read books in prison. These books were brought to him in a heavy chest with the help of his wife and maid, who were allowed to stay with him in prison. He hid himself inside the chest. When they came to pick it up, he fled to France, where he was cordially received by King Louis XIII. So he escapes, and King Louis XIII says, "I will take you." And where was he? Where is this castle at? So I'm not even the Dutch. So he's in the Netherlands. He was put in prison in a Dutch prison, escapes, and goes to King Louis XIII, 1621. So this is before all the the Frankfurt Parliament, and this is around Jacques Marquette, right? The Jesuit who discovered, who I don't know if he discovered Kentucky, but one of the first European discoverers of Kentucky. So, what does this all mean? He was like, I don't know, he was an influential philosopher, and that's sort of a sensational story about him escaping, but some, people still get excited about how he escaped. He was in the Loevestein Castle. He'd been sentenced to life in prison. Although Grotius was locked up, he did have the right to literature, and every now and then a large chest full of books was delivered. In the beginning, the guards would check the chest, but after a while, this happened less and less frequently. This gave Hugo Grotius' wife, Maria van Rieger Birch, the idea to smuggle her husband out in the chest. One day, Hugo Grotius saw his chance and got into the chest. He escaped and fled to France. He's like, "The hell with this, I'm going to France. I am going to France." 20 months of imprisonment thus passed away. His wife now began to devise projects for his liberty. He had observed that he was not so strictly watched as at first, that the guards who examined the chest used for the conveyance of his books and linen being accustomed to see nothing in it but books and linen, began to examine them loosely. At length they permitted the chest to pass without any examination. Upon this, she formed her project for her husband's release. She began to carry it into execution by cultivating an intimacy with the wife of the commander of Gorkum, to her. She lamented Grotius's immoderate application to study. She informed her that it made him seriously ill, and that in consequence of his illness, she had resolved to take all of his books from him and restore them to their owners. She circulated everywhere the account of his illness and finally declared that it had confined him to his bed. In the meantime, the chest was accommodated to her purpose, particularly some holes were bored in it to let in air. Her maid and the valet of Grotius were entrusted with the secret. The chest was conveyed to Grotius's apartment, and she revealed her project to him, and after much entreaty prevailed on him to get into the chest and leave her in the prison. The books which Hugo the Great Grotius borrowed were usually sent to Gorkum, and the chest which contained them passed in a boat from the prison at Loevestein to that town. So that is, that is what had happened. I gotta mention something. This has been bugging the fuck out of me. They stole $25 away from me at the Kenton County Courthouse. So, the library book thing, there was a library book. I paid the fine, which, I could have paid, when they sent a notice in the mail. Instead, they arrested me. They put a $503 bench warrant out for my arrest. They were going to throw me in fucking prison, so I get fucking raped repeatedly and shit. They don't give a fuck about my life. And I know that, and I think it's bullshit that not only do we pay them with our tax dollars, but they're taking our tax dollars, and they're not giving us justice. Just because some motherfucker accuses you, and seriously, this is justice, this is how our system works. I mean, nobody's actually saying, nobody's putting the pieces together. I liked how Warren County did their thing because you talk to the prosecutor first and then it got, before the judge. But instead, the way they're doing it, you get before the judge and then you just have to, plead your case. And so, just before everybody, that's so much more, your head is on the chopping block, and if they're used to you just being catted, guilty, and just trying to get everybody to admit that they're guilty, they won't give a fuck about you, they won't like you, they won't give you shit. And actually, I think you're lucky to get out alive with some of these fucking sadistic oppressor fucking psychopaths. She stole $25 away from me. So these fucking people don't have any morality. They steal money from me, right? You're gonna fuck with me over a $20 book, but they're going to steal $25 for some fucked up fee they just made up at the very end. And, the Warren County made up fees. I had $130 in my pocket, and I got $75 back. So where did the $55 go? I got punished. I got, my freedom was restricted for 3 hours. Who the fuck, with the way those jailers were acting, that could have provoked a fight, and then I'd been in jail for the rest of my fucking life. Over a goddamn library book? This is Jack Conway's fucking judicial system. This is the same judicial system that didn't charge Tyler Brockman with murder, didn't charge any of those LMPD with murder of Leon Brackens, the Boone County Sheriff who killed Sam Ramsey, didn't get, if you got a badge, you're allowed to commit crimes. And I think that's bullshit. There's a ruling class, and they are fucking everybody that comes through their doors. And it's bullshit. It's usually poor people, too. So the rich people who can afford lawyers, the cops fuck with poor people. If they can trick a poor person, get them in a fucking cop car, then you're fucked. And I think it's bullshit. I think it's absolute bullshit. And then they want to, fuck them. That's such bullshit. Who's gonna, and I got robbed. And I got sodomized while I was in jail, right? She stole $25 from me. Is there going to be a cop who's going to get me my money back? Is anybody going to throw her in jail? Is anybody going to, harass and throw her, talk to her like a piece of shit? No. She's allowed to rob me of my fucking money. And then what am I supposed to do about it? Oh, thanks a lot, sure do appreciate us paying, the fucking bureaucrat, you fucking low-level bureaucrat. Fuck them, man. I fucking cannot stand these people. But it's May 18th. It's actually May 1st. But I'm doing this for May 18th. But this just happened, yesterday or 2 days ago. And it was bullshit. And it's not fair. And there should be some cops who care about justice and fairness and morality. You robbed me. You should go to jail. You should go to jail. Robbing motherfucking people is evil. Okay. 1917, May 18th, the U.S. passed the Selective Service Act. The Selective Service Act is a selective draft act. Authorized the federal government to raise the National Army for the American entry into World War I through the compulsory enlistment of people. It was envisioned in the December 1916 and brought to President Woodrow Wilson's attention shortly after the break in relations with Germany in February 1917. The act itself was drafted by then Captain, later Brigadier General Hugh S. Johnson after the United States entered World War I by declaring war on Germany. The act was canceled with the end of the war on November 1918. The act was upheld by the United States Supreme Court in the selected draft law cases in 1918, a decision based partially on Vattel's The Law of Nations. So that's another thing World War I brought us, the draft, right? Forcing motherfuckers into fucking service to go get their head blown off for what? For what? 1953, the first woman to break the sound barrier. Jacqueline Cochran became the first woman to fly faster than the speed of sound. Women power. Jacqueline Cochran became the first woman to fly faster than the speed of sound. 1980, the Gwaju Massacre. Students in Gwaju, South Korea began demonstrations calling for democratic reforms. Popular uprising in the city of Gwagun, South Korea from May 18 to the 27th, 1980. Estimates suggest up to 606 people may have died. During this period, Gwaju citizens took up arms by robbing local armories and police stations when local Jinnam University students who were peacefully demonstrating against the Chun Du-hwan government were fired upon, killed, and beaten in an unprecedented attack by government troops they lost on May 27, 1980. South Korea, right? In this American-owned and occupied, what the fuck? The 606 people were fucking killed because of this shit. That's what happens with there's oppression, calling for democratic reforms. They want a democracy. They want, they fight for democracy in South Korea. Where's the people fighting for democracy here? Noam Chomsky says that democracy is always, the power structures always hate democratic institutions. They want all the power, and fuck you. 2004, Sonia Gandhi stunned her party, the Indian National Congress, by refusing to accept the prime ministership of India. Wow, that's amazing. It's like Caesar, hey, be the thing. It's also kind of like the fucking German, right? Frederick William IV. She might have fucked up there. She might have fucked up, right? She could have been a great democratic fucking leader of India, and she refused to accept the prime ministership. 2004, so it's May 18th, 11 years ago. 1933, the Tennessee Valley Act was signed by FDR to build dams, and the TVA was created on this day, May 18th, 1933. May 18th, 1969, Apollo 10, U.S. launched. Apollo 10 was the fourth manned mission in the United States Apollo space program, launched on May 18th, 1969. It was the F mission, a dress rehearsal for the first moon landing, testing all the components and procedures just short of actual landing. The lunar model came within to 8.4 nautical miles, 15.6 kilometers of the lunar surface, the point where the powered descent to the lunar surface would begin. Its success enabled the first landing to be attempted on Apollo 11th in July 1969. According to the 2002 Guinness World Records, Apollo 10 set the record for the highest speed attained by a manned vehicle. Oh, fuck, man. I am so pissed off about that shit, I drove 5 fucking hours to get the fucking bail bond, which they told me I had to come fucking back. I mean, they seriously want the fuck over my entire fucking life. And the fact that they have the power to do that, and the fact that they are willing to use their power and authority to rob me, to take my money. That is a crime. That's a fucking crime. That's stealing. If you don't even know if stealing's a crime, do you know if murder is a crime, or if rape is a crime, or if violence is a crime? Do you understand that shit's not a fucking crime? Jack Conway isn't arresting Tyler Bartman for fucking murder, or Leon Brackens. We can't even agree that murder is a fucking crime? Murder's a fucking not a crime to you assholes. You fucking psycho, sadistic fuckers. I swear to God, you just fuck over poor people. That's all you're doing. You're fucking over poor people. What a racket, too, right? You fuck somebody over for heroin, call them a felon, then they don't have a right to vote. They have no say-so whatsoever in our society. You strip them of their political fucking freedoms. Yeah, that's real fucking great. Fucking Jack Conway and the whole entire Kentucky criminal justice system, the injustice system. Fuck them, man. I'd feel safer without them fucking bastards spending millions of dollars for this fucking bullshit for a prison plantation, which is all horse shit. This ain't fucking modernized. It's a police state here. And that's all a cop has to do is just fucking accuse you of something, put you in the fucking system, and your life is you have to stop your life. If I had I am working on this campaign, but if I had like a regular 9-to-5 job, I'd been fucking fired. Hey, I gotta go, drive to fucking Kenton County for the stupid ass fucking warrant, pay $50 fucking in gas, They charged me $55, right? So that's twice. They took out 2 days of my life, plus the interview going to Bowling Green. So they took 3 days of my life. They stole $55 directly out of my pocket, $100 worth of gasoline, and then, all this headspace because I'm thinking that they're going to try. He filed a contempt charge, a $503 contempt charge after I'd already been in fucking jail when I was on my way. It's 5 fucking hours away. So I called him up and I said I was on my way. Also hit a deer that fucking morning. And then he wants to tell me, Judge Easterling, that I should sell my truck to afford a lawyer. So these pricks are doing anything and everything to fuck me over. And why? Because I stepped on the wrong side of the fucking court. Because a cop fucking said you're guilty of this shit because a fucking dickhead cop looked at his computer and says, hey, the computer told me I got to do this. It's just my job to fuck you over, just like that lady did. She said that there was a fee, a bond fee, a $25 bond fee. And then says, well, the money that they stole is probably a warrant fee. Oh, warrant fee, bond fee, fingerprinting fee, a fuck you over fee. Who gives a shit? Fee here, fee there. We're going to rob the shit out of you. Taxpayer, citizen, Kentucky citizen. And that's bullshit, that's all I see is a bunch of psychotic, unempathetic, fucking fascist assholes. People who don't give a shit about anybody else. And I think that's probably, if there was one big fucking thing that would define me, fuck the bullshit. Fuck the bullshit. Fuck you fucking assholes who want to fuck people over and don't believe that stealing money is a crime. You're a fucking thief. Kenton County, you bureaucrat motherfuckers in the district court, fuck you. That's my fucking hometown. That's where I was born, in Kenton County. And Kenton County is corrupt as fuck from the bottom to the fucking top. You got a whole shit ton of poor people right there in Covington. Right there in Covington. And what are y'all doing about them? You ain't doing shit about them because you're throwing them in fucking prison every goddamn day. And that's fucked up when the entire system is built upon you fucking people over. We're not making any money. It's a bad business deal. We're not instituting justice. Why do we have these buildings? Why do we have any of this shit? Why? It makes no fucking sense whatsoever. If there was, that's why I like Warren County. If there was a person that, to talk to the prosecutor first before the judge, then it wouldn't have been, it wouldn't have been such a headbutt. It would have been, hey, this thing happened. Call them up. Hey, this thing happened. Hey, email, done. Why can't we do that? Why can't we use common sense? You want to talk about common sense, books and all that shit? Where's the common sense in any of this shit? The whole ordeal. Why the fuck would I want to go to a library? I could just get online and check out books. Why the fuck would I want a chance, having to go through this bullshit? And at the time I did. It was a home networking book, learning guitar, and Final Cut Pro book. Of which I never read any of them because in 2004 I was moving here and there and had no place to go. And then eventually I found a spot, but I'm not thinking about reading my fucking books because I had to get a job and had to make people that I was staying with fucking happy and all this other shit. So, while I'm sitting there getting my life all shuffled all around every which way, I went and checked out a couple fucking books, forgot about them, and 11 years ago. I mean, seriously, make some sense out of this shit. And then, the one, there was a Lexington News report, and she goes, well, why'd you kill the person? Oh, I didn't. And then why are you arrested? Well, you're arrested. Clearly you must be the bad guy, right? Clearly you must be the bad guy. Bafam Goo, I've been born in fucking violence. I don't know a day when y'all didn't try to put violence or try to fuck me over. You guys are fucking assholes. You guys are sadistic fucking assholes. And if I let you, I think you would rob me of everything I have, rape the shit out of me, and leave me for dead in the ditch. I don't think you all give a shit about me. Who's going to give a shit about me? Some man out here? There's some nice people. They're decent people, here and there. But someone that cares about your life. So I am unique. I am in a league of my own because I give a fuck. And why should you vote for me? Because I give a fuck. That's why. And that differentiates me from everybody. I give a fuck. I want what's best for everybody and to resolve the situation. Family courts are destroying families. They're not settling shit. Courts are fucking oppositional and they're not trying to find the truth. They don't care about the truth. They just give a shit about, their fucking stupid lawyer games. And it's bullshit. If I sued somebody, he could file a countersuit right against me. If I sued someone, they could file a countersuit. But if a cop accuses me of something, I can't accuse the cop of nothing. There was a Gowns County judge executive who was actually driving drunk, was doing something illegal, but I liked how he actually fought some charges. A cop was trying to pull him over in Boone County, so the judge drove into Gallatin County and filed criminal charges on him. and said that he assaulted him and did this and did that. And so, you know, he filed charges on them and they were filing charges on him. And then eventually they worked out some deal. Let's just fucking, you know, let's bygones be bygones. And that's how that shit was resolved. So that's good, you know, just because there was a cop in Warsaw in Gallatin County that went bumping the guy's chest. That's, as a man, you have a right to beat the fuck out of him. He's provoking you. That's, you know, there's fighting words. Chaplinsky decision, if someone calls you a name, you can deck them. That's fighting words. Chaplinsky decision. It might be, you can debate that if you want to. In some respects, I would agree that actions is action and words are words, but that's provoking. That's just words. Now, what if somebody bumping their fucking chest into you intentionally? That's violence. They're provoking a fight. You have a right to get fucking decked. But unfortunately, the cop would be believed. He's got friends with the fucking judge and the county attorney, and at the time, the county attorney said that he protects the cops. His job is to protect the police. They fucking say someone did something wrong, and then, hey, just shut the fuck up, county attorney. I'm the cop. I said he did something wrong. Shut the fuck up. And then they're just supposed to do it. Which means we have a rogue military police force. They're out of control. And there's no accountability for any of them. There should be a citizens complaint authority. It would make it fair. If you have power, you have the ability to become corrupt. You're fucking human. So to assume that someone who is in a position of power will never mess up or do anything fucking wrong, get the fuck out of here. You have a greater chance with power to be fucking over people. You're in a position to fuck people over compared to someone who isn't. A homeless person, who are they going to fuck over? What, somebody, oh, I'm going to spend this dollar on, you know, food, and then he goes and buys alcohol. Oh, we really got you. He fucked you. He didn't fuck you. Okay. So, May 18th, 1973, Jeannette Rankin was the first woman elected to U.S. Congress. She had died. And you know what I wish I would have done at King County? I wish I would have turned on my video and said, this is the woman who's trying to steal from me. Then I would have her face. And then hopefully I would get her fucking name, right? I don't know who the fuck it is. Some fat fucking piece of shit. Yeah, that fat female piece of shit. The judge is an asshole, right? And she's an asshole. And fuck them. These people are no good, you know? You're goddamn right. You know, if I had some, you know, fuck that. These people don't treat people right. They don't treat people right. And I think that's bullshit. They have no sense of morality. They have no sense of morality. They want to fuck my life over for a $20 book, but they'll rob me. And nobody says a word and nobody does a fucking word. How's that right? How's that acceptable? They're stealing. And they're also stealing $50 a day from Jeff Young right now. And they didn't report his finance statements or anything. So it makes it look like he's doing nothing when he's doing more. They're taking $50 away from him because he faxed it in instead of electronically filing it in. Because he faxed it in. This is just bullshit, man. This is the system is rigged against working class people. It's against us. It is rigged against us. And if you think, well, I've been good and I'll just keep doing good and good will happen, I think you will get a rude wake-up call. It might work for a while, but you know, let's try to work in harmony and try to be peaceful and shit. We're a war society, so maybe this is in a capitalistic dog-eat-dog society. So maybe I just need to come to grips that this is just how people are. But I don't like to think that everybody's a bunch of heartless, fucking don't give a fuck about anybody else, fascist assholes, oppressors. There's oppressors, and then there's the people who follow what their oppressors do, and then there's people who believe in equality, who believe in treating each other the way they would want to be treated. And I don't know, like, hardly any equalist. I don't know any equalist. Everybody wants their will to power to trump over others. They can't just, you know, free spirits just enjoy someone's company just to enjoy their company. Okay. So let's just roll right along. $10.5 million was awarded to the estate of Karen Silkwood. May 18th, 1979. Karen Gay Silkwood. Mysterious death. She was an American chemical technician and a labor union activist known for raising concerns about the corporate practices related to health and safety of workers in a nuclear facility. She is most famous for her mysterious death, which was the subject of a victorious lawsuit against the chemical company Kerr-McGee. She gained more fame when she was portrayed by Meryl Streep in Mike Nichols' 1983 Academy Award nominated film Silkwood. She worked at the Kerr-McGee Chimeran fuel fabrication site plant near Crescent, Oklahoma, United States. Silkwood's Silkwood's job was making plutonium pellets for nuclear reactor fuel rods. This plant experienced theft of plutonium by workers during this area. So we might have fucking terrorists in our own nation, right? This plant actually saw plutonium get stolen away from them. She joined the union and became an activist on behalf of issues of health and safety at the plant as a member of the union's negotiating team, the first woman to have that position at Kerr-McGee. In the summer of 1974, she testified to the Atomic Energy Commission about her concerns for 3 days. In November, she was found to have abnormal but low levels of plutonium contamination on her person and in her home. That month, while driving to meet with David Burnham, a New York Times journalist, and Steve Wodka, an official of her union's national office, she died in a car accident under unclear circumstances. Her family sued Kerr-McGee on behalf of her state in what was the longest trial up until then in Oklahoma history. The jury found Kerr-McGee liable for the plutonium contamination of Silkwood and awarded substantial damages. These were reduced on appeal, but the case reached the United States Supreme Court in 1979, which upheld the damages verdict. Before another trial took place, Kerr-McGee settled with the estate out of court for $1.38 million while not admitting liability. So she was supposed to get $10 million, but only got 1.3, but it was her estate, so it was the survivors of her. What a fucking great woman. And it looks like she was fucking killed. There was that guy that was killed, right? That journalist who out of Petraeus. He died in weird circumstances with his car malfunctioning or some shit. In 1989, the surrender and dissolution of the Ezo Republic to Japan happened on May 18th. The Ezo Republic, this is not a good thing. Some things are mourning or cautionary, holidays. This is the Ezo Republic. What is? I've never heard of the Ezo Republic, but it was dissolved in 1869, so we never ever heard of it. It is now part Russia and part Japan today. So it makes me shudder whenever I hear about, a nation just being wiped out. Where'd they go? They're gone. 1951, the United Nations moved its headquarters to New York City, where it's been the whole time. Che Guevara spoke at the United Nations and admitted to executing deserters, just like George Washington did in America's Revolutionary War. So in moving to New York City, that means something. United Nations is inside of America. Perhaps it should be in, Brazil or in a more